So now let's talk about some guys that deserve some national love from the NFL, because if the NFL honors were to take place today, I'd say you need to put your money on two different guys. Defensive Player of the Year, you absolutely need to put DaRon Bland in that conversation.
Ding, 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 ding.
A lot of the guys on these airwaves throughout the week had kind of thrown that idea around, and I heard Bassick say, you know, if he breaks the record for pick sixes, then I'll put him in that conversation. And a lot of people seem to have that sentiment of, hey, he's playing real great. He's not the household name yet, but if he can break that record, we have to put him in that conversation, because across the league, there's been some stellar defensive play. I know Myles Garrett's name has come up a lot. Micah Parsons, even after his 2.5 sack explosion in Carolina, got another sack yesterday. There's been a lot of talk about some of those pass rushers, the more premier guys, but I think there's room to have that conversation about DaRon Bland now, as he now has 5 pick sixes on the year, 6 interceptions overall.
Put it like this. He's been solid. There's something to be said for just, I mean, in other words, they're not bombing him and he's either burned or he's making a play. You follow me? You can't say, well, he gives up so many yards. Well, at least he could do is do an interception. It is hard to do a pick six in the first place. You see where we're going with this? It's hard to do a pick six. He's got 5. As a team, there's only 2 other teams. The teams in second place are the Colts and the Seahawks with 3. There's 7 teams with 2. He's got 5 by himself. The Cowboys have 6 overall. With that being said, people just don't want a rookie or a guy on his second year that they had never heard of, wasn't a starter. How could he's not an edge rusher blowing up a quarterback. How could he, or a linebacker, how could he be Defensive Player of the Year? Stephon Gilmore was Defensive Player of the Year with New England in 2019. Deion Sanders was Defensive Player of the Year half a season with the 49ers. Jerry Jones asked after the game, cut number 50, does he think that DaRon Bland should be Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, I don't know about that, but I sure thought that got that Defensive Player of the Week. And he should be Offensive Player with the way he made that run to the end zone. So throw that one out for consideration.
He's got more touchdowns than Travis Kelce.
From the 201, I hope so. I put $100 on Bland for Defensive Player of the Year at 60-1 odds a week ago, already down to 7.5 to 1.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Vegas likes him.
Yeah.
Nice.
201,
Nice 201.
I'm pulling.
Appreciate that.
I'm pulling for you, man. And there's more to the pick sixes. There's more than just that. He's been playing
He's so
great.
Solid.
Yeah, he's been playing great outside of that as well, because he's just been locked down ever since Trayvon Diggs went down.
Well, why you get those up? For those who are like, well, you know, like I was saying, he doesn't give up big plays. If you just go by the analytics alone, he's been one of the best in the league.
We've known him as a nickel guy. The 24-year-old, he began his career as a fill-in at the nickel spot for an injured Jordan Lewis last season, and he got 5 interceptions as a rookie, right? Well, we thought that was going to be kind of his aura, if you will. His spot was going to be an inside slot corner playing the nickel, and he was going to do a really good job at it. He's actually played better statistically since moving to the outside. He's playing like the best cornerback in the NFL right now, because he has allowed a 19.3 passer rating this season, which is the lowest in the NFL among players with 25 or more pass attempts thrown their way this season. He has been really good. And when you ask him about what's led to this success, he credits Al Harris. He said, you know, that's a guy that's a 15-year vet.
His coach.
And he said the combination of that with Stephon Gilmore and Trayvon Diggs, an interception guy, they have really helped him hone in on his ball tracking skills, which has been the key to all of this success, is he's been making some really nice plays on the outside.
I talked to him after the game last night. We will hear some of that interview in about an hour, about 45 minutes or so. And I also talked to him for the Cowboys player profile about a month ago. And he is just the nicest, quietest guy. He's not your traditional swaggy cornerback who talks noise and backs it up. He just does what he does. He's ridiculously solid, and that the whole team loves him. When he walked in the locker room after the game last night, they just went nuts. And he was given the game ball, of course.
And the other man that should be up for postseason award consideration.
Oh, wait a minute, real quick. 214 says compared Bland's numbers this year to Stephon Gilmore's numbers when Gilmore won the Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. It's not even a question. He could be Defensive Player of the Year.
It's a great point. And the other man that should be considered for MVP, at least in the conversation, should be your quarterback, Dak Prescott. A little bit of insight as to why. Yesterday, Dak Prescott completed 7 of 12 passes for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns targeting vertical routes against the Commanders. Prescott has now thrown 16 touchdowns targeting vertical routes this season. 14 of those have come since week 8. Both of those most in the NFL. That's per Next Gen Stats. Dak Prescott, since that 49ers game, has awoken. He has been lights out.
Beast.
And when you compare the body of work to guys that have similar odds, like Jalen Hurts
or Lamar Jackson,
Patrick Mahomes, he's starting to catch up in the numbers department. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Dak Prescott here since the 49ers game. And his odds around the time of that 49ers game were pretty long as 20-1 and even 30-1 at one point. But he's thrown for nearly 1,900 yards and completed 70% of his passes and a 20-2 TD to interception ratio over the last 6 weeks, which results in a 5-1 record. And we've seen the MVP race, rotate around with Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, all spending time as the favorite. And heck, even C.J. Stroud coming into play for a while. Brock Purdy jumped Dak Prescott at some point. But Brock Purdy, nothing special yesterday, kind of just did his job. But Dak Prescott is firmly putting his name into that conversation.
Let me give you another reason why he could and should, if he maintains this, be the MVP or be one of the finalists. He has rewritten the narrative going into the season. What was the narrative? Oh, we're going to play complementary football. And it wasn't just complementary passing and running. It was complementary defense and offense. Notice I said defense and offense, not offense and defense. And Dak would basically bus drive because we don't want him to throw interceptions. Remember that? That's what the narrative was. And the Cowboys defense was so stellar the first couple of games. It was like, whoa, just let the Dallas Cowboys defense win the games and Dak just don't mess it up. These last few weeks since the 49ers game, Dak Prescott has been the guy carrying the load to the victories. And you can say whatever you want to say about the opposition. The defense has been playing fine. And the running game has been here and there. But it's been Dak Prescott who has been above and beyond the call of duty since the 49ers game. Even in the Philadelphia game, you cannot blame that loss on Dak Prescott.
Don't think you can.
Again, the narrative was changed. So if you thought all that he could do, well, of course, if he had that defense, he'd be all right and the Cowboys have. No, Dak Prescott is the reason they are now 8-3.
And if anything, I think that his performances against these bad teams have just been equally as impressive as his performance against the Eagles, because you expect to beat the bad teams, right? He has been electric in these. And like you said, he's been the catalyst for a lot of these. Earlier in the season, even in that routing week 1 of the 49ers, it was the defense that did that. The defense was scoring. The special teams was scoring. You didn't really think of Dak Prescott as the guy that won that game. When you start pointing at these victories, it's because of number 4. It's because of the signal caller. And part of it has been the play calling by Mike McCarthy. It's finally complimenting the quarterback, something we haven't seen in a while.
I tell you once again, you're not going to be able to change people who hate Dak's minds or Cowboy fans who don't think the Cowboys are going to do anything in the playoffs. We're talking about the regular season. At the same time, they will move the goalposts every time when it comes to Dak Prescott. I watched him do it with Romo. I watched him do it with Troy Aikman. They didn't give Troy his props till he went into the Hall of Fame and was retired. With that being said, if they win the Super Bowl, watch them say, oh, anybody can win the Super Bowl with Micah Parsons. I'm telling you, they would not say Dak Prescott won that Super Bowl.
And I'm sorry that some of you guys are not familiar with my work, because like from the 469, damn, I didn't know Bobby and Brian were on this morning. From the 945, I want whatever y'all are smoking. Well,
enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it for one. And two,
the journey's the reward.
You can ask Chris Arnold, you can ask Will Chambers, and anybody who's listened to my work on the weekends, which we have great content all throughout the week, live and local here on 105 through the Fan. Just weeks ago after that 49ers game, I was ready to have that conversation. I was having that conversation with Will Chambers if Dak was that guy or not. I was ready to backpedal. I was ready to listen to any and all angles on the quarterback and if we needed to start thinking about the future without him. I was ready for that. Now he's playing at an MVP caliber level. I can admit that I was wrong.
You know what?
I have taken both sides of the fence.
Some people can't do that. They want to double down no matter what the results are. In other words, there are Ranger fans who are mad that the Rangers won. You know why? Because they said they can't beat the Astros. I'm not talking about Astros fans. I'm talking about Ranger fans. Rangers fans gave up on them when they lost 1-0 in Seattle the last regular season game and said they can't beat the Astros. They suck. And when the Rangers won the World Series, they're like, I don't care. They didn't play Philadelphia. The Phillies in the World. You follow what I'm saying? The goalposts will always get moved. So don't ever try to please people who double down and can't admit things change. Like Dak Prescott got better. Like maybe I'm just saying. They always move the goalposts. You can't satisfy them all.
And I promise I will eat crow if I am wrong.